Welcome back to News Now. I'm Jon Prosapio here with my special guest, WPTV professor Dr. Elizabeth Haines. Dr. Haines specializes in studies about stereotypes. Welcome, Dr. Haines. Great to have you here today.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's get started. Stereotypes. That's something that can get complicated very quickly. It's also quite serious. What led you into studying this topic?
Well, the study of the topic started a very long time ago, but the study that I'm going to talk about a little bit today is actually a 30-year-old study that was very influential in our field and basically showed that stereotypes not only are on things like women being nice and men being aggressive, but also that it differentiated in things like role behaviors, like women taking care of the house, men breadwinning, but also physical traits and occupations as well. So it was a pretty important study done 30 years ago, and we thought, there's no way that that study could still be valid given all the changes that women and men have had in their roles over the last couple decades.
To build off that, you say in a new study that you authored that those gender roles and stereotypes have not changed in 30 years. How can that be?
We were kind of surprised ourselves, to tell you the truth. We actually had competing hypotheses. On the one hand, we thought that given all the changes, especially in women's status, men have changed a little bit less over time. Women have changed a lot in their breadwinning roles and done more high status things. That we've seen a lot more women in those particular roles, that they would also, that the beliefs about them would change as well. Our other hypothesis was that, given that the way that we categorize people in terms of race and class and gender, that once you have a salient example of a woman, let's say, for example, when you think of a woman like your sister or your mom, these are kind of salient examples, and then you extrapolate or you generalize to all women on the basis of those few examples, and you don't really take into the broad diversity of women in general. So that being, we thought like they may have become or stayed fairly stable on the basis of those we call those cognitive mechanisms in favor of pre-existing beliefs about women and men.
People will point out that currently we have Barack Obama as president, person of color, and we have Hillary Clinton running the Democratic Party, very well may be the presidential candidate coming out of that party.
Yes.
Does that suggest at all that we've made some progress?
It does, but a lot of people also believe that just because some individuals have broken through those barriers, it doesn't mean that the group in general has changed very much. And so oftentimes people point to, Barack Obama as our first black president, Hillary Clinton, a lot of exemplars of people who have made it. It doesn't mean that the whole class or category of people have changed or shifted in a great extent.
Are there any psychological reasons that would suggest why a person may gravitate towards being, a stereotypical person?
Probably the best psychological reason that I can give you is that they have a brain. One thing that we know about stereotyping is that they're basically mental shortcuts. We tend to use them all the time. We see a person, we categorize them very quickly on the basis of a few salient features like their race, their gender being the most quickest one, and then we have all these downstream consequences or attributions that we make. So stereotyping isn't something that we see as individual pathology or something that only bad people do, but it's a way to organize a lot of complex information when we perceive someone, and so they're just little people shortcuts.
Three components that kind of all relate here: racism, sexism, stereotyping. Can you tell me how those all connect a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we parse them very specifically in the academic literature. Oftentimes, racism and sexism are used really as a proxy for stereotyping and how we study it. So stereotyping is just basically large overgeneralizations that we have about particular group members. If we think of a particular group member, we think that they have particular traits. Now, racism and sexism work a little differently because we oftentimes think about the negative traits or the negative role behaviors that are typically that people have in those particular groups. Stereotyping actually also engages both positive and negative views of people. So we have a lot of stereotypes, for example, that women are really kind and communal and nice. Those are positive stereotypes. Or that Asians are good at math. These are kind of culturally shared, positive stereotypes. We think of racism and sexism, we think more about the negative spectrum of those stereotypes.
I'd like to thank again my guest, Dr. Elizabeth Haines, and wish her continued success here at William Paterson.